I had been working hard on my personal vlog for over a year now and finally was starting to make good money off of it. It still wasn't a lot, but it was enough to make me live comfortably. And with a steady income flow, I decided to quit my job and take up making vlogs as my long-term career option. It was a difficult decision to make, but I wanted to do so anyway. I wanted to explore what other options the world had in store for me, and I wanted to pursue the freedom it would allow me. Along with quitting my full-time job, there were many other changes I had decided to make too. I decided to rent out my 3-bedroom house that I had been living in for the past 4 years and travel the world. I planned to travel cross-country for the first year of my life on the road, and if I could, I wanted to also pick up a second property in the country. It was another fail-safe that I would have if things ended up going south anytime in the future. But those were all my plans for the future. First, I have to live through the present though. My house was up on rent and I was in the process of clearing it out for the new tenants. There were some things that would come with the house, but many had to go, including some furniture and some of the many prized possessions of mine that I had acquired over time. By the day of the move, everything was cleaned up. I had moved a lot of my stuff to a storage unit and even sold some of it. All in all, I just had the things I would need to be taking with me on my trip. Just the belongings left in my room. So I was cleaning out my room at the very last minute of the very last day. I had packed up all my clothes and everything else, and my closet was completely empty by the time I was done with it. And just as I was about to close my closet door, I saw something peculiar. Something I had never seen before. It was a small door, almost like a mini cabinet inside my closet. Way deep inside my closet with a small lock on it. It really threw me off for a bit. I'd been living in that house for over 4 years, and I had never noticed that door inside the closet. It was baffling to me that that could even be possible, that I could miss something right in front of me that I had been seeing for almost 4 years, and on a daily basis too. Maybe it's because of the matching paint on the closet walls and the door, I reasoned with myself. The lock was also painted over in the same color, and that must have made the secret door easy to miss. And I never spent that much time going through my closet anyway. Mostly I just tended to grab the first thing I saw, and that was it for me. No wonder I never noticed it. Yeah, that must be it. Satisfied with my reasoning at last, I let it go and decided to focus on opening that door. I grabbed the hammer from my toolbox and broke open the lock. The door was a little jammed, maybe due to an absence of its use, but it creaked open with the minimum of effort. I opened the door only to find something in there. A little something wrapped up in a towel. I picked it up and removed the towel to reveal a black pearl necklace. With a very short amount of time on my hands, I didn't get to examine the pearl necklace fully, so I just pitched it in my back pocket and went to finish up the packing. I had to clear out soon and leave the house before the tenants moved in. So I hurried along, and within an hour or so to spare on the time schedule, I was out the door, saying goodbye to my house for the time being. Soon enough, I was on my merry way in my trusted car. Later on that night, I was supposed to be checking into a hotel room just on the other side of town. So I started driving to the hotel. The drive went uninterrupted for a while until I started feeling something poking me from inside my back pocket. That's when I remembered the pearl necklace that I had hurriedly stashed in there earlier. I pulled the necklace out of my pocket and placed it on the dashboard of the car. Shortly after that, it was pretty much forgotten once again. It was not a very long drive, but I still had about another half hour till I could reach my destination, and enjoying music on full blast was my preferred way to cruise. Hence, I was busy driving, listening to some music while doing so, and totally focused on the road ahead. That's when something unusual caught my eye once again, for the second time that day in almost just that many hours. I looked into my rearview mirror, as per the norm, and saw something that shocked me immensely. Something that definitely was not supposed to be there at all. Not one something, in fact. 2 somethings. 2 glowing orbs of red. 2 glowing red eyes, to be more specific. There were two red eyes staring at me from the back seat of my car. I looked down and yanked on the wheel before swerving out of my lane. It was very abrupt, and I wasn't even watching where I was going in my sudden panic, and my car just narrowly avoided hitting the truck that I had so blindly overtaken in my haste. It was rush hour, and I had no chance of stopping by the road at that moment, so I just had to keep driving. But it was certainly clear that I was beyond just merely shocked at that point. I was visibly panicking. Just when I thought I might get my heartbeat under control after the immense shock, a hand suddenly grabbed my shoulder. It made my heart rate skyrocket into shock once again, and I let out a screech in a pitch that I immediately was not proud of. I turned my head back for a quick look to see what was going on, only to find a figure in a hood, shrouded in darkness, sitting in the back seat of my car. The only thing visible of the figure were the red, glowing eyes, almost like burning embers of fire. It made a shiver run down my spine in fear, and made my hackles rise. Just then, the figure started speaking. It had a deep, distorted, and raspy voice, as if it hadn't been used in years, and it was telling me not to fear him. I was too far stunned at everything that had just happened to me all at once, that I hadn't even gotten the time to process yet. It was getting hard to focus on everything the figure was trying to say to me. I had actually tuned out during most of it, while coming to terms with just the mere presence of him in my car. The one thing I did get out of his words was that the figure was somehow connected to the necklace that I had found inside my closet.
I would like to thank you for releasing me from that curse on the necklace.
I had somehow freed him from some type of curse by taking out that necklace from the closet.
I would like to grant you any 3 wishes you asked for as a reward.
And then there was that. I was apparently allowed to make 3 wishes, and the creature would make them come true. Absurd, right? My thoughts exactly. I was still in shock from all of that, though, and I hadn't managed to comprehend much of it. I was far more aware of that hand sitting on my shoulder, and more concerned about what that hand could do to me, being that close to my neck and all. So I pulled over as soon as I saw an opening to stop the car at the side of an empty connecting road and almost jumped out of my car, hoping that the creature won't take my head off just yet. "Who the hell are you?" I shouted as soon as I was out of range of the creature's direct reach. "What freedom? What wishes? I don't believe you! What are you doing here in my car? How did you even get in here?" I was almost out of breath by the time I was done with my tirade, not really caring about how crazy I looked at the moment. The figure appeared very unbothered by my outburst. In fact, even though I couldn't see much of his face, I could still somehow tell the figure looked almost bored, if not slightly amused by my sudden rant. He sighed, and instead of getting out of the car, he merely waved his hand out of the window towards some nearby trees and told me to just listen and see for myself if I didn't believe him. I looked over to the trees and saw a sight I would least expect in the middle of the night. Flocks of colorful glowing birds flying out from the trees, singing in the dead of night. I stood there, struck motionless at seeing such a colorful, magnificent scene, just quietly observing and thinking about what to do next. I was still not very sold on the whole ordeal. In fact, I was half convinced that none of this was real. Maybe I'm dreaming, I thought, but a quick pinch on my thigh proved it otherwise. Maybe it's an elaborate prank of some kind, I thought, but I could not think of anyone who would go to such lengths for the sake of a prank. No one I knew had that kind of money or that kind of time, or even that much of a commitment to pull off something of such magnitude. Maybe it's a TV show or something, was the next thought that came to my mind. Maybe someone signed me up for a reality TV show, and all this is getting captured on camera somewhere. I tried to surreptitiously look around for a camera or filming crew, but found none of that either. Although that did sound too far-fetched for even my mind to come up with, so I threw that idea out the window too. So then I went with the next best thing I could think of. Whatever it might have been, I was being offered a huge deal, so I decided to take the creature up on the whole fulfilling the 3 wishes thing. I thought to myself that this might be meant for me. Whatever it might be, I was going to take advantage of it. I thought over for a minute and made up my mind. I steeled myself and turned to the hooded figure. "I want you to give me a black Ferrari," I asked him, the first wish out in the open. The figure seemed to nod once, and the car started to reshape itself. It started changing from a Honda Civic to a Ferrari Roadster right in front of me, all while I stood there gobsmacked, my jaw practically on the floor in awe.
"Here is your first wish, sir,"
the figure started once again, making me jump and exit the trance I had been entered in. I turned to look at him once again.
"May I grant you anything else?"
he implored once again. I shook my head in the negative. I was more focused on seeing the car of my dreams in front of me than thinking about the next wish. I jumped in the car and revved it up, racing back to the hotel, fully enjoying my new ride. My thoughts, on the other hand, were also in overdrive. They were racing just as fast as my car was, for more, better ideas, for my next wishes. Soon enough, though, I was at the hotel, handing the valet the keys to my new Ferrari. I pulled out my wallet with a few thousand in my name and checked into my room. In the elevator ride to my room, another wish started to form in my head, and I knew what it was going to be. Once safely inside my room, I got out my phone and looked over to my bank account. I had a couple $1,000 in there, and I was going to turn that into a couple million. I smiled to myself and called out for the creature. "Hey, I have another wish I want to make. Can you double the money in my account after adding 3 zeros at the end?" I asked, equally apprehensive and excited for the answer.
"Yes, I can do that for you, sir. Right now."
Just as he said that, his eyes started to glow a brilliant red once again, and he waved his hand in the air. He wasn't even fully done, and I could see the figure shooting upwards in my account. In a matter of seconds, my account had jumped to more than $4 million. It was unbelievable to me. I never thought I would see that many zeros in my account. That night, I slept, dreaming about how to spend my newly gotten money. The next day, I got up feeling a little sick, but thought nothing of it. It's probably because of all the adrenaline and the restless sleep from last night, I thought absent-mindedly as I got ready for the day. After all, it was time to splurge all the fortune I had to my name now. I took my Ferrari to the fancy fashion district to pick up a few new outfits, showing off my new wealth. I spent quite some time in the high-end boutiques and personalized tailor shops. I started getting more and more tired as time went by, which was something very new to me, as I was in perfect health. The outfitter was taking some measurements to adjust my suit when she suddenly stopped and straightened up, asking me if I was okay. That's when I noticed that my nose was bleeding. I ran to the restroom to wash my face when I came to another realization. My face was aging rapidly. It was as if I had aged about 20 years in the span of a night. I was horrified to see it. There were wrinkles forming right there on my face. That's when I started connecting the dots. The tiredness and the body aches I was feeling must have been due to the aging process. My whole body was wearing down. I looked over my shoulder in the mirror only to see the glowing red eyes. I yelled at him, panicking at the new turn of events. "What the hell did you do to me?"
"It is because of the wishes you made, sir. You made them so fast. That's why you are aging faster, too,"
he calmly replied, as if telling me about the weather and not about my deteriorating youth.
"But
He continued before I could blow off at him once again.
I can fix it for you, if you like. You just have to wish it."
It was very tempting to say yes. I almost did, but I caught myself. No matter how much I wanted to, I couldn't waste my last wish just like that. "No, I've only got one wish left," I replied. I turned and left the restroom. I was going to be just fine. It was just a little bit of aging. How hard could it be? Apparently, very hard. I tried to enjoy my newly acquired wealth as much as I could. I tried doing everything I had ever wanted to. I tried the foods that I had always wanted to eat, started visiting all the places I always wanted to go. But alas, instead of making me feel happy and fulfilled, it all started going downhill from then on. No matter where I was or what I was doing, it always made me feel like my body had taken a bad beating, especially after the recent trips that I had taken over the past few weeks. And no matter how hard I tried to maintain my health and my youth, it appeared I was aging much faster. In mere weeks, I had aged decades. I had not used my last wish yet, and I wanted to save it up for something really special that I might really want someday. But sadly, it was not meant to be. It all came to a head when I just could not take the pain in aging anymore, and I broke.
Okay! I want to make my last wish!
I practically screamed for the hooded figure.
I want my health to return back to normal!
The dark figure approached me and aimed his index finger into the air. Almost immediately, I could feel my body getting better. Even my face instantly stopped aging. It feels so good to look and feel handsome again. I sighed in awe, looking at myself in the nearby mirror. I was in pure bliss. My bliss, however, was cut short when I heard the next words escape from the dark figure.
Your time is up, sir, and you are all out of wishes now.
What? What do you mean I'm all out? I inquired, puzzled at the strange choice of words. Just then, I looked out the window and saw my old Honda in the parking lot instead of my Ferrari. Shocked, I quickly pulled out my phone to check on my bank account, only to see $2,800 in my account, the original amount I had started all this with. I stared at the digits, stunned. The dark figure walked over to me and placed his hand on my shoulder.
I am sorry, sir, but it is time.
Before I could question his words, the room suddenly turned completely dark, and I saw the floor opening up, showing flames rising from underneath it. What is all this? I shouted at the figure, trying to make sense of everything. I want to take it all back! Please! Stop all this! Please! I kept pleading, but to no avail.
You had your wishes granted. You had your deal, fool.